All right. So what is the difference between a setter and a closer, right? To say it really simply, a setter is an appointment setter, and what they're setting is clients for the closer, so the closer can close them, right? Meaning that they'll enroll in the program, they'll buy a product or service, right? The client's going to pay money at that point. And once the client pays money with the closer, you would then be eligible for your commission, right? If that's how your job worked. So a setter could have many different roles depending on the organization and the setup, right? Like you could be working for a company where they provide you leads, like they'll have a tunnel, like a lead funnel or some kind of lead magnet, something like that, for people to type in their name and email, maybe download a video or something, and say that they're interested in hearing more about X opportunity, right? Whatever it is. And those may be the people that you then call or reach out to see if they're interested or not in whatever you're selling, right? So you want to pre-qualify them. You want to make sure you figure out their why, like what's important to them, why are they looking into this, the whole thing. So and then ultimately your job is to schedule an appointment for them, right, with the closer. So that's primarily what you're doing. Now, in other niches of the industry, right, you may not have warm leads and maybe cold leads, right, where you just have to reach out to the world on Facebook or create your own lead generation tools or funnels and find people that could be interested in what you're selling, have conversations with them, right, set appointments with them to a closer, and same thing, right, they close them. So that's what a setter does. So a setter doesn't have to close anybody, right? So you don't have to be as skillful. So normally, if you're brand new to the high ticket industry, you would begin with setting, right? To learn, because you do want to learn both sides also, right? It's hard to be an effective closer if you don't know what setters do or how they do it, because it's part of the process. Now, optimally, as a setter, you're communicating with the closer information about the client, right? So they're set up and prepared for that call. They already know the guys or girls why, right? They know what they're looking for. They know if they could afford or not. Like these should be questions you're communicating with your closer. And if not, then you're just making it harder for them because then they got to do the entire discovery again, the entire everything again. Like, why are you wasting time? Make their life easy so they close more deals for you and make more money, right? It's a partnership between a setter and a closer. Never forget that. It's a partnership. Okay. You're there to help each other out, succeed, and make money. Because every time they close a deal, right, you can get commission. So your job is to make them look amazing and great. And you talk them up to people in terms of the client you're talking to. You could say, hey, like our next step now, if you get to that point, is to set up an appointment with John. He's an amazing guy, he's a good friend of mine. He'll give you more information about the offer, answer any other questions you have, make sure it's the right fit, explain to you how much it costs, the whole nine, right? So you kind of like set them up powerfully like that. So they're looking forward to talking to John or Jay, right? Whoever the closer is. Okay, that's what a setter does. And then simply a closer is now the person responsible for closing the client, or meaning enrolling them, like receiving payment and enrolling them into that program, if it's a coaching program, or selling them the product, which means they pay for it and then it gets delivered to them, right? That's their job. Closers have a harder job, right? It takes a lot more like psychological knowledge and sales skills to close people because you're asking them for money, right? The setter is only asking them for their time, right, to schedule an appointment. It's a lot easier to do that, right, than hand over $5,000, right, for a product or service. So closers have a much harder job. That's usually why their commission is higher, right? Normally, setters' commission on average in the industry is 5 to 10%. Closers, it's 10 to 20% on average. That's just averages, right? You could always go up and down in the swing, but you never want to work for less than 5% as a setter and never less than 10% as a closer, right? Just to give you like general idea of where you want to be. And that's what you want to look for. So don't get shafted by these companies trying to lowball you and give you like, 5% as a closer or something. Be like, just tell them to kick rocks, right? Look for better offers out there. They're being way too cheap and not responsible with their money in terms of making it affordable for you, especially when you're the one making the money, right? Because closers and setters are the lifeblood, right, of these organizations and companies you're working for. Without you, they're not making squat, so they should be compensating you respectfully and appropriately. If they're not, don't work for them, period. Okay. It's just going to give you hardship and stress, and that's it. Okay. If you're working your butt off to set and close leads, you should be getting well compensated. Okay. Never, ever forget that. All right. And that's pretty much the dance between the setter and closer. They are partners, they do help each other out. Personally, if you're a closer and you want to be really effective, you want to set up and train your setter, if possible, on how to do their job properly. Right. So this way it's a dance. It could be things like you want them to brief them on who the client is, like what is the client's interest? What's their why? What's their pain? Whatever, however you categorize it. So this way when the closer talks to the client, it's as if like it's a warm handoff. And it's not weird, it's not like two different people. Let's say John's the closer and Jay's the setter. John could be like, hey, so I spoke to Jay, he told me ABCDEFG about you, and this is your why, and da 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 da, and this is the way you can do that. Like now they're like, wow, like yeah, you know exactly what I care about, exactly what I'm interested in, exactly why I'm talking to you. Like it's a lot smoother handoff, and it'll make the conversion, which means closing more sales, a lot higher that way, by the way. A lot of companies do these like cold handoffs, like the setter just briefs, or schedules the appointment, and then the closer does the exact same conversation all over again. And it's such a horrible customer experience. It's like, I already answered all these questions to your other person. Why are we doing this again? A lot of them may think. But imagine like knowing the person already. You already know everything about them mostly, and you're just asking some follow-up questions. Don't you think the client would feel more appreciated and respected and cared for if you knew everything about them already from the setter than having to repeat yourself all over again to a stranger? Right? Think about it. It's all part of the ontological thing that I share with everybody, right? Who you're being and who you are for the client will speak louder than anything that comes out of your mouth. If they off the get-go, like, wow, like this person already knows things about me. He talked to the other guy, like they're talking with each other. He already knows why I'm here. He knows my motivations. Like, wow, he actually took his time to do the research, talk to the setter, figure out what I need, what's important to me. Okay, wow, I actually kind of like this guy. Boom, right? One of the principles of high ticket closing and sales in general is if your client does not usually know, like, and trust you, they're not going to buy from you, period. And conversely, they may not like the product or service that much, but if they know, like, and trust you, that could be enough to carry the day, right? The product or service is only going to carry the day for you if you suck at sales and you do not have them know, like, and trust you, only if they already made up their mind before they even spoke to you. Like you're just a conduit to buy that service or product. That's the only way you'll win in that case. But you want to be someone who's likable, someone who they can trust. You're authentic with them, right? And I do a lot of other training videos on this on my YouTube channel, so check it out, right? We're not covering that here, but it's really important that you know your role as a closer, you create the expectations with the setter, and you create partnership because that will lead to mega, mega success for you both. All right. And that's what a setter and closer are, and just some recommendations. And I have other videos also talking more about this on my YouTube channel. So please check them out. All right. You have a good night and take care.